Welcome to Blueprints for Brilliance Coaching Insights, a podcast by coaches for coaches. Our guests share their hard-won wisdom to help you grow your coaching business and create a life of success. So get ready to unlock the blueprints to your success. Welcome, everyone, to our newest episode. I am thrilled to introduce you to Jackie Brown of Shifting Success. So welcome to the podcast, Jackie.
Hello, Jeannie. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here today.
Wonderful. Tell us a little bit about what kind of coach you are and what inspired you to become a coach, because I know we all have stories and usually it's something from our experience that kind of brought us here. So tell us a little bit about that.
Great. Yes, thank you. I help mid-career professionals step into their strengths so they can create a more meaningful second half. That really does shape the journey that I took. It was stepping into my strengths that really helped me through a really awkward career moment. After about 30 years as a creative director, which I absolutely loved doing for most of those 30 years, I really found myself frustrated with my work and with the people, the industries I was working with. I loved the people, but the industries I was working with, everything just kept feeling so flat. I felt like I had just plateaued. But I was freelancing at the time, so I really tried a bunch of different options. I tried different types of industries, different types of clients. I tried collaborating more, and nothing really seemed to help. So then I started thinking, what if I need to be doing different work altogether? I didn't know what, but I was definitely looking for something that felt like it was more of a natural extension of me, something that had more meaning and impact. So it was a part of that journey. One of my favorite parts of the journey was when I had lunch with a client at a Mexican restaurant. And as we were sitting there, the taco plates had been cleared. We were really deep into a conversation about how her company's merger was going to be impacting her own future. And I found myself really leaning in to hearing what her situation was like, looking for connecting threads and different insights. And then as the conversation wrapped up, she thanked me. She said, "This has been amazing. I really feel like that when we talk, I feel seen and heard, and that you really helped me see a different perspective." And I said, "Thank you, but you've got a ton of friends. I'm sure any one of them would do the same." And then that's when she said something that really shifted my perspective. She said, "Yeah, they try to help and they listen, but they don't have the insights that you do. You really show me a different part of myself and help me see that there are options available, that I do have more potential." At that moment, I really had something click that said, wow, maybe this is the thing that I do so naturally that I thought everybody else did, but apparently it's something that I had a unique spin on that could bring value and meaning to me and then the people I might be working with.
I love that.
Thank you. It was so amazing. And I'd already been thinking about coaching, but that kind of sealed it. So within a week, I signed up for coaching training. And then I'll tell you, Jeannie, by the end of that first class, I was like, this is it. These people are my people. We're all talking about impact and meaning and just getting teary-eyed thinking about it. It was just amazing. And even just the coaching method also really aligned with who I am. It was like a checklist of what makes me, being really present, really asking powerful questions, and aligning with all this meaning and impact. And then the question part is actually funny because it's like running joke in my family that I'm always asking questions like all the time. I want to know why, what are you doing? What's this for? How are you feeling? So it was amazing to really get a sense for this natural strength and talent that I had could be put to really good use. And it's absolutely been amazing since I've been coaching. This work is that meaningful, joyful work that I had been craving. So now I love showing other people the process and so that they can have their own meaningful second half.
I love that. Oh my gosh, you're warming my heart. I love hearing when people finally crack the code, if you will, and say, aha, this is what I love. This is what I'm meant to do. And that must be so rewarding for you as well.
Absolutely. To have felt those feelings and then watch other clients go through the same process and discover their confidence that comes from inside, because so many of us really look for approval and that validation externally. But when we step into those strengths, then that confidence really does come from the inside. It's amazing to watch that shift.
Now, do you coach people who are just people who are like leaving a corporate job, or do you help people who maybe want to move up where they are, or just entrepreneurs? Or tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. Most of the clients that I seem to attract are those who are not necessarily looking for a huge job shift. They just know they want something different. And some clients have come to me thinking that they wanted a job change. But as we really dug into their strengths, their values, and their purpose, they were able to take more control of their day-to-day job so that they could stay in the job and still find that meaning and impact without having to upset the apple cart, so to speak. So that was a really huge moment for that one particular client, that she really saw that she didn't have to, because she's single, she didn't have any other income in the household, and she didn't have to feel so desperate to be looking for just a different job. She could take her time if she eventually decided that she did want something different. I also work with a lot of clients who are feeling that plateau happen in their longer careers, so that they might not be quite ready for retirement, that full-blown retirement, but they know that they want some kind of shift in the work-life balance and more about service and impact than it has been about building, stability and identity. For them, it's more about, how can I really serve? What are my natural talents that can be put to good use?
Yeah, I love that. And I'll bet that you find I assume you help people come into that, find out what that talent is and what makes them feel good. And then I don't know if people realize that sometimes if they're in a corporate job, you can talk to your boss. You can shift that position that you're in and incorporate more of what you do best. And sometimes your managers will welcome that.
Absolutely, absolutely. Especially in today's job market, where it's hard to find the right people. So from the organization side, they seem to be more willing to retain those good employees. And like you said, work with them to be able to allow them to try new things. Some clients have asked for additional projects that may not be within their official job title, but they're able to test. Maybe they work in marketing and they want to try an HR related project. And that company has been very open to allow them to try those things. I think most managers and companies want to see that initiative for personal and professional growth.
Yeah, I would agree with that. But I think too, back when I was in corporate, you didn't always have the mindset to do that. You thought, okay, this is my position. I have to stay here. And as miserable as I am, just keep moving forward and going home when you can. And I would also think too that it sometimes might just be a mindset shift, that you're thinking this is the perception and how you're perceiving the situation or the environment or the hierarchy, when that might not actually be true. Do you ever find that?
Yes, absolutely. I think we have more control over our day-to-day activities and jobs than we often allow ourselves to imagine. And sometimes it can be that means taking on a little bit more responsibility. If we wake up thinking today is mine to make it what I want it to be, then that also does carry some responsibility along with it. What can I do to make this day, this job, a better fit for how I want to be?
Yeah. And I would think people who are getting older, if you will, are thinking about, I want to be enjoying my days. I don't want to
Mhm.
be here feeling miserable all the time.
Yes, absolutely. We're definitely seeing a shift in, we're all living longer. And so that shift in wanting to be useful longer is something that I'm really seeing a lot. It's an interesting shift too with those of us who had a long career doing one certain thing, and then what to do after that. There's so many different nuances there. The identity shift. I was so excited to introduce myself to people as a creative director. I was one of the cool kids when I said I was a creative, but then what happens when I'm not a creative director anymore? Here in the local area, that's a lot of government contractors. So people are thinking, what happens if I'm not an engineer anymore or a project manager? Then who am I? So absolutely, my program of really identifying strengths, values, and purpose, again, gets down into how we identify beyond our roles. Because we could wake up tomorrow and all that could be taken from us. And again, it's outside of our control. There could be a merger, there could be layoffs, and then that title could be stripped of us. So whether we want the title, like I got frustrated being a creative director, I could have easily have been laid off as a creative director, but that shift in identity is something that I see my clients having to deal with quite a bit.
I see that in people who retire as well. It's
Right.
like, how can you go who retire from a 9 to 5, Monday through Friday? How do I go from this routine that I had every single day to no routine? It's a bit of a shock. And I think for people who don't create a hobby or decide, how they want to see themselves in the world or how they want to be in the world, they're confused and sometimes they're miserable.
Yes, absolutely. I think that was a really good point that you made about how to be in the world, how they want to be perceived in the world can make such a huge difference for how they are then able to enjoy life beyond a career change or their careers in general.
And I would think you're also helping them feel more in control. Where if you feel like I have no control over my situation, I just have to go every day and again be miserable, that's a terrible feeling. But if you can help them feel like they're moving forward in whatever direction they want, that can be huge.
Yes, and I really see that helping them define a purpose. And again, it doesn't have to be the purpose. What am I on this earth to do? But let's look at defining a purpose for this phase of your career or life. Then that is something that helps us move forward. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I found this great formula for defining a purpose that I think has been really helpful for people to feel less of the pressure of it being, what's my calling? And hey, let's just do what we could do for tomorrow or for today to help me get out of bed and be helping others. I'd love to, Jeannie. At full credit, I discovered this from Dr. Michael Gervais, who's a performance psychologist, having worked with sports teams and Olympians. A purpose is a reason to do something, but when we give it a little bit more meat, something that is future oriented and something that's important to us, then that can really help us start to define it. So the first part of the formula is to think about 2 or 3 talents or strengths that you might enjoy using as you interact with other people. So let's say 2 strengths, values even, that you enjoy using as you interact with other people. The second part of the formula is to then think about our ideal world, the rainbows and unicorns type of world that we would love to be living in. How are people interacting with each other? And then we take those 2 thoughts and put them together into a statement. So for instance, my purpose is that I am kindly curious as I illuminate people's brilliance so they can bring light and love to their communities. Kindness is one of my values. I am curious. That is one of my strengths, that questioning aspect. And then how I interact with people is helping them see their best self. I want them to then go into their communities, whether that's their family or their workplace or professional organizations, their church, to help other people feel light and love. So it's been a really nice formula to use so that people feel like that, again, they have talents that they can use to help other people and to help their world.
I love that. That is fantastic. And not only talents, but passion for whatever that is that they want to do in the world. Tell us an example of a client that you've worked with. We don't need any names, but maybe that came to you in not a happy state, and then how you help them transform into where they are now.
So I'd certainly have clients. So the first one that comes to mind is one who is an entrepreneur, and she really she'd been pretty new to it, a couple of years in, and she was finding this big shift between how she felt as a vice president in a large corporation before she was an entrepreneur, and then how it felt as an entrepreneur. And that wasn't really aligning for her. And she was trying to figure out what was the difference. Because she thought this is going to be a great way for me to have control over my work situation. I'll be able to spend more time doing the work I love. But she just wasn't finding that to be the case. So we, again, worked on that identity piece. What did she feel like when she would introduce herself as vice president of fill in the blank? And then her role now as an entrepreneur. And then what strengths she was using to help her clients versus what she was using in the corporate world. So we really did a lot of work on who is she outside of work, and then how does that get expressed in her work, and then what is important to her. So there were reasons why she went from corporate to entrepreneur. Did that really align with her core values? And then again, helping her define her purpose moving forward so that she could apply her strengths and values into that purpose, and really helped her get more aligned with who she is, and then feel better about not defining herself through her work, but using her work to express herself.
Oh, I love that. So did she stay an entrepreneur?
She did, absolutely. She absolutely enjoys it.
That's great. I think sometimes people who get into entrepreneurship think, hang on a minute, nobody told me I had to do admin stuff. I had to do bookkeeping.
We often spend less time doing that thing that we'd love to do so much. There are certainly ways around that. Getting systems in place and those collaborators to really help us spend more time in our genius zone, right?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, we're big fans of outsourcing in my world. So this is fantastic, Jackie. I'm so grateful that you are helping people with this, because I do think, at some point in your life, there is a shift and you say, hang on a minute, this isn't what I want to be doing. This isn't fulfilling. And it's very difficult to find someone to help you to understand that, and then to help you get to the next step.
It was, for me, when I was moving through it, I felt like I was the only one. And certainly in my years of research, especially in midlife and mid-career, I'm seeing that there are there are brain changes that are happening. There are biological changes that are happening. So just knowing some of that research behind it has helped me and then my clients understand that there are reasons for this, and we are not alone. There absolutely is a big shift in our brains and our bodies that does come into play here. One of my more interesting aha moments was when I read that there's a second career curve that can happen. There's a difference between using our skills that we're so good at in our 20s and 30s, and then as we move into our 40s and 50s, our brains get better at using wisdom instead of skills. So I see that might be something that has hit home with you too. But when I read that, I was like, this is exactly how I'm feeling. My creative director skills don't feel nearly as powerful or as accessible as they used to. But again, talking with my clients was amazing to me. And when I read that there was a reason behind that shift, then that absolutely made me feel better. And then when I tell my clients that helps them feel better.
Brilliant. Jackie, how would you like people to reach out to you?
Yes, thank you. I'm very active on LinkedIn. So you can type in Jackie Brown Coach in the search bar. And then certainly my website, shiftingsuccess.com. Jackie at shiftingsuccess.com is a straight email straight to me. And I would love to hear from your audience about their experiences with mid-career shifts and what work that they're doing that they feel is meaningful.
Oh, I love that. Yes. We will put those links in the show notes so people can click on them and find you. So I have one last question to ask you. If you could provide the world one tip to make it a better place, what would that be?
It would be to step into their strengths. Absolutely. So really lean into your natural traits and talents. When we align that with our values, then that purpose and impact really comes into play.
I love that. Thank you so much for joining me today, Jackie. This has been such a pleasure.
Thank you, Jeanne. I really have enjoyed getting to chat with you and the opportunity to learn more about you and your audience. So thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for joining us today on Blueprints for Brilliance Coaching Insights. We hope you're leaving this episode with inspiration to take your coaching business and your life to the next level. If you found value in this episode, we would love it if you would subscribe and share it with someone else who you think might benefit from hearing it. Thanks, and we'll see you in the next episode.